Noes 23. The measure passes. File item 77, AB 715. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 715 by Assemblymember Daley, enacting to land use.
Assemblymember Daley, you may open.
Thank you, Speaker and members. This is a minor technical bill that clarifies the definition of accessible space in order to ensure that all school districts and building officials across California interpret the law consistently. In short, the bill simply states that detached bike storage and covered walkways are not livable spaces. AB 715 makes clear the current statute, and it follows the original intent and spirit of the law. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 66, noes 3. The measure passes. We will pass and retain file item 78, 79, 80, and 81. File item 82, AB 514. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 514 by Assemblymember Williams, enacting to local government.
Assemblymember Williams, you may open.
Members, thank you for hearing AB 514. This provides counties with more control for violations of a county's land use and development code. Current law sets the maximum fine at $100 for a first violation, which is too low to incentivize obtaining a permit, which obviously will take more time and money usually than the violation. Instead, it's easier to violate the land use codes and pay the fine. For example, in the county of Santa Barbara, there was a large commercial wedding for out-of-town residents, one of the Kardashians. The landowner didn't acquire a permit, and the county wasn't able to review the event for its impact on public safety and traffic concerns. In this case, the permit fee was higher than the penalty. Specifically, AB 514 bases the fine on the severity of the threat to public safety and health and will increase the maximum fine for a first violation to no more than 3 times the permit fee. For a second and third violation of the same ordinance, the fine will increase. Members, taxpayers should not have to pay for the extra traffic control and public safety for wealthy people skirting the law. This creates a reasonable deterrence mechanism and provides counties with more control to enforce local land use and safety ordinances.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 46, noes 23. The measure passes. File item 83, we will pass and retain. File item 84, AB 656. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 656 by Assemblymember Cristina Garcia and others, enacting to local government.
Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, you may open.
AB 656 would allow mutual water companies to form joint power authorities in order to create insurance pools. Pooled insurance will help mutual water companies by providing affordable insurance, technical assistance to reduce liability, hold down premiums for mutual water companies in California. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 63, noes 1. The measure passes. Moving to file item 85, AB 682. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 682 by Assemblymember Williams, enacting to manufactured housing, mobile homes, and making an appropriation therefore.
Assemblymember Williams, you may open.
Mr. Speaker, members, this bill provides a narrow exemption to the title requirements for a mobile home only for the purpose of a utility upgrade pilot and requires the Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, to inspect any alterations to ensure health and safety is met. The program is voluntary and it's 3 years, established by the PUC, which authorizes IOUs to convert 10% of mastered metered mobile home park spaces to direct utility service. Currently, this requires construction permits, but the permits are only issued if a homeowner has current title or proper paperwork certifying the ownership. However, it's not uncommon for mobile homeowners, many of whom are seniors, many of whom were bequeathed the mobile home, to lack the title or appropriate paperwork due to multiple title transfers. This bill would allow, only for the purposes of the pilot, them to participate in the program without such paperwork. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Aye 71, no 0. The measure passes. Mr. Gomez, please state your parliamentary inquiry.
When a member brings a prop on the floor, are they supposed to ask for permission?
Yes, to use it in debate.
Well,
unless it's distracting to
I think
if it's distracting to members.
it's distracted me on the floor with this prop, so I asked the point of order because the member from Napa never asked to bring a prop on the floor. That insults my integrity.
Mr. Dodd, are you asking for permission to bring a prop onto the floor?
Mr. Speaker, I already did ask for permission and received permission from the Speaker.
Objection to the use of a prop.
So I understand that unanimous consent is being objected to by Mr. Gomez. So, Mr. Dodd, are you making a motion to bring your prop onto the floor?
I think the point's been made, Mr. Speaker.
I'm asking for a roll call vote.
Mr. Dodd has withdrawn his motion, so I understand that at this time we do not need a roll call vote, and he will remove his prop. Mr. Gallagher.
Mr. Speaker, what was the score again?
I do believe that apparently one team was swept, but with that, Mr. Bloom, you are recognized. For what reason do you rise?
It certainly is good to see that Mr. Dodd is leaving because he was clearly out of order, but I believe there are other statistics as to this matter, including who might be in first place.
Mr. Hadley, for what reason do you rise?
Mr. Speaker, I believe that we should stop playing 1.5 games on the floor. Thank you.
And with that, back to the daily file. File items 86, 87, and 88, we will pass and retain. File item 89, AB 18, file item 89, AB 1030. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1030 by Senator Ridley Thomas, enact relating to greenhouse gases.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, colleagues, AB 1030 would create workforce training and employment opportunities for disadvantaged workers to ensure that they are invested in the green economy. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 68, no 0. The measure passes. File items 90 and 91 will pass and retain. File item 92, AB 1431. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1431 by Senator Gomez, enact relating to local public contracting.
Mr. Gomez, you are recognized for your opening.
Mr. Speaker and members, today I'm presenting Assembly Bill 1431, which will expand the job order contracting program available to the Los Angeles Unified School District to all school districts in California. By using job order contracting, LAUSD has been able to cut costs because the contractor will bid on one master contract for multiple small projects. They have also been able to reduce the project procurement time by 242 days because contractors don't have to bid on each individual project. This is not a requirement to use this option, but it is just an option for different school districts. This is also supported by the State Building and Trades Council. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 45, noes 25. The measure passes. At this time, we'll move to our consent calendar. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar that has not already been moved? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read the second-day consent calendar.
Assembly Bill 658 by Senator Wilk, an act relating to health care.
The clerk will open the roll on the consent calendar. All those who vote, who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 72, noes 0. The consent calendar is adopted. Okay, at this time, the clerk will read the remaining bills on the second-day consent calendar.
Assembly Bill 562.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 952.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1020.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1535.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1536.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1443.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1492.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1524.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 229.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 333.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 410.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 419.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 433.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 531.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 592.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 609.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 629.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 707.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 757.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 847 with urgency.
Ayes 72, no 0 on the urgency and on the bill.
Assembly Bill 849.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 861.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 862.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 924.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 934.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 943.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 995.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 999.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1023.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1039.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1096.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1116.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1135.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1204.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1222.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1277.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1284.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1323.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1387.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1401.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1419.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1420.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1423.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 341.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 783.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1403.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1339.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1452.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Bill 958.
Ayes 72, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 60.
Ayes 72, no 0.
And Senate Bill 181.
Ayes 72,
with urgency.
no 0 on the urgency and on the bill. Okay, at this time we'll move to announcements and adjournments in memory. We have a number of adjournments in memory at this time. Mr. Bloom? Mr. Bloom, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I rise to adjourn in memory of Santa Monica resident Tom Taplin, who was one of the more than 7,000 victims of the Nepal earthquake on April 25th. Sadly, there were 2 Californians, and I'll follow with an adjournment in memory for the other Californian who was lost in the earthquake. Tom was one of 18 people who were buried when an avalanche devastated a base camp 2,500 feet below Mount Everest. He was filming his latest documentary. Tom was a filmmaker and a videographer and was born in Denver, Colorado in 1953 and graduated from Lake Forest College in Illinois in 1975 and from the California Institute of Arts in Valencia with a master's in film in 1979. While he loved filmmaking, he also had a lifelong love for climbing that started when he was a teenager, climbing mountains in the wilderness of Colorado. He would eventually go on to climb mountains in Patagonia, Japan, New Zealand, and other places. In fact, he twice climbed the Andes Mountains, reached the top of Alaska's Mount McKinley, and climbed the Himalayas 4 times, the 4th sadly being his last. Tom is survived by his wife, Corey Fryer, his 3 brothers, and his mother, Beatrice. And I ask that we adjourn in his memory.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom.
Number 2. And Mr. Speaker, I also rise to adjourn in memory of Dan Friedenberg. Dan also lost his life in the Nepal earthquake and was a Google executive, a climate activist, an inventor, an explorer, and an entrepreneur. He grew up on a farm in Arkansas and then did his undergraduate work at the University of California, Irvine, earning advanced degrees from the University of Southern California, Stanford University, and UC Berkeley. He began working at Google in 2007, working his way up to head of privacy at Google X. Dan was passionate about the environment and launched the Google Adventure Team, an effort to map geological areas and formations on Earth at a similar level of detail to Google Earth. These would include the Great Barrier Reef, the floors of the oceans, and high and or remote mountains and mountain ranges, including the Himalayas. Dan was also founded The Laundry, a San Francisco-based business incubator geared towards building a community and productive environment for social impact. And when he died, Dan was preparing to do what he loved most. He was preparing to climb Mount Everest for the second time. He was also working simultaneously on a project documenting ascent routes for Google. He's survived by his girlfriend, his family, and many friends, and I ask that we adjourn in his memory as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom, for that adjourn in memory. I'd like to recognize Mr. Dolly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Anna O'Neill. Anna passed away from this life unexpectedly on Wednesday, May 13th, at the age of 14. She is survived by her parents, Sean and Denise, her 2 sisters, Emily and Isabella, her brother Jack, and her grandparents, William and Marilyn O'Neill. From preschool through 8th grade, Anna attended Mount St. Mary's Academy in Grass Valley, where her energetic spirit, her academic excellence, and her steadfast leadership will always be remembered by her family, peers, and teachers. At Lake Forest Christian High School, where Anna was a freshman, she had already made her mark by climbing to the top of her class. Her extracurricular achievements, including playing for varsity soccer, JV volleyball, and varsity basketball. Anna was also an integral member of her chamber choir. The O'Neills have been parishioners at St. Patrick's Parish for over 15 years, where Anna has served as a member of the children's choir, as a lector, and an altar server. My thoughts and prayers are with the O'Neills family during this difficult time. Thank you.
Mr. Medina, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to adjourn in memory of Doriella Dory Anderson, a resident of my district and a longtime friend. Ms. Anderson grew up and was a lifetime resident of Riverside. She was a devoted member of Park Avenue Missionary Baptist Church. Ms. Anderson served as wedding coordinator, Sunday school teacher, director of Vacation Bible School, and sang in the choir. Ms. Anderson was also the heart and soul of the Riverside Community Settlement Association, where she was a director for more than 40 years. She was also a lifetime member of the Riverside African American Historical Society. She will be remembered for bringing the Toys for Tots programs to Riverside, teaching crafts, dancing, and for her involvement in numerous community affairs. Ms. Anderson leaves to cherish her memory a devoted and loving husband, Marshall, 2 sons, Gregory and Tracy, granddaughter Amanda, grandson Corey, great-grandchildren Ezekiel and Maylee, her sisters Annabelle, Catherine, and brother Frank, as well as a host of nieces, nephews, and other relatives and friends. She will be greatly missed by all who knew her. I respectfully ask that we adjourn in her memory.
Mr. Patterson, you're recognized for your adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, on May the 6th, retired and legendary Fresno Bee sports writer Bruce Ferris passed away. He was 88 years old. Sharon and I got to know he and his wife over the years. Perhaps one of the most congenial and sweet men you would ever want to meet. He began his writing career at Fresno High School He was hired by the Fresno Bee, and for 52 years, he wrote on every conceivable kind of sports activity in our area. He did it with remarkable professionalism, but he also brought to sports writing the fun for those of us who enjoy sports, but also the understanding. He was just a very good reporter and a very good man. He was particularly adept at finding the very special fishing holes in Central California and would report on those weekly. Needless to say, I and others would look at his column very, very quickly on a Friday to make sure that we knew where we were going to go fishing on Saturday or Sunday. He knew where the hot spots were, and he wasn't afraid to let us know. He was a wonderful man. We will really, really miss him. He lived his dream as a reporter for 52 years, something like that. He passed away surrounded by a cadre of friends and readers and people who cared very much about him. Thank you for adjourning in his fond memory.
Thank you. Members, please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. Our requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. We have a couple of announcements today. Today, we are recognizing the anniversary of the birth of one of our colleagues from San Diego, our chair of our local government committee, Assemblymember Mainshine. Happy birthday. One other announcement for members of the Jobs, Economic Development, and Economy Committee. You will be meeting upon adjournment in the Rules Committee room. The scheduled session is as follows for next week. On Monday, May the 25th, in celebration of Memorial Day, that will be a holiday. Tuesday, May the 26th, we will have floor session at noon. Wednesday, May the 27th, check-in session. Thursday, May the 28th, floor session at 9 a.m. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions will be continued. Seeing and hearing no further business, I am ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Holden moves, and Mr. Gallagher seconds that this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, May the 26th at noon. Quorum call is lifted.